So you want to level up and flourish financially, but did you know that you might be blocking your ability to build wealth because you don't have the right foundation? Well, we're going to talk about that foundation today. My name's Christine, and I'm an entrepreneur, a business advisor, and I have over a decade of experience in the financial services industry. And I'm really excited to share with you today the CEO mindset that has not only changed my bank account, but also my entire life. So a few years ago, I realized that I was stuck in a scarcity mindset. I realized that I was kind of stuck in these cycles that were holding me back from building wealth. But something that really helped me break this scarcity mindset, which unfortunately, because of the society that we live in, a lot of us, especially women and BIPOC folks, this is kind of reinforced in us from a young age. When you think about it, even like women, we were not allowed to sign for a loan until not that long ago. So it's like literally we live in this society that has not even given us as women access to financial tools and resources until not that long ago. Right. So we live in this society that has kind of reinforced these ideas that can kind of lead to us having these scarcity mindsets and feeling like we're not enough. And we see all of these statistics out there on the um, how little capital and funding goes to women-owned businesses, for example, right? And if we're not careful, these messages that can kind of get ingrained in us, and we can start to believe that we're not enough, that we don't deserve to build wealth, that we don't deserve the money, or to not even if we do get access to more wealth, more resources, more opportunities, we may not feel equipped or have the tools to manage it responsibly, right? Or we may not think that we deserve it, right? These are some of these mindset things. These are the foundation that we have in place that we need to have breakthroughs on in order to truly build wealth that is sustaining. So we need to manage our finances with an abundance mindset. And that's why I think it's so important for us to think about the language that we're using around our finances. So language matters. My bachelor's is in psychology, right? And the words that we use actually have an impact on our minds. So language is very much tied to our mindset and what's going on in our brains, right? So I want to give you an example of this. So you'll hear often like that you have to save an emergency fund, save 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund. But what do you think of when you hear the word emergency? When I hear the word emergency, I start feeling a little bit anxious. I start feeling a little bit scared. And it automatically, even just hearing that words, I have to save for an emergency, it almost just makes me feel uncomfortable and a little bit anxious. And that can have, in turn, a negative effect on our relationship with money. So I don't have an emergency fund. I have what I call an overflow fund, right? Because overflow to me puts me into a more abundant mindset of overflow, of there's more than enough, of I have access, right? And so I want you to think about for you, what are some words that evoke abundance for you? It could be your overflow fund. For my business, I have an account that is called the storehouse account, right? Because that just makes me think of a storehouse, just having just like a full storehouse full of funds. Like it just evokes fullness and abundance. And we really need to be careful with the language that we're using. So think about what some of those words for you that you can apply to your finances, to your personal finances, to your business finances, that are going to help just evoke and bring more calm and openness and spaciousness and abundance to the way we are approaching our money and the way we are approaching our finances, so that we're not coming from at our finances from an angle of anxiety and emergency and just being very careful and thoughtful about the words that we're using, because it's impacting our brains and it's impacting our relationship with money. And a lot of us may need to do some healing and growth in our relationship with money. And this is one of the ways that I personally have done some of that work is by changing the language that I use and the way that I interact with money, so that I'm not approaching my finances from this anxious mindset. So think about what some of those words are for you and let me know in the comments. So another way that we can manage our finances with an abundance mindset is by saving for our faith goals. Now, all of us have something that we are believing for that we haven't seen happen yet, right? We've talked about in the last video about our affirmations where we are speaking over ourselves, where we see ourselves, who we see ourselves becoming, who we are on our journey of becoming as we build our dream lives and make our visions a reality, right? And so we have these goals that we are taking steps towards, that we are putting our faith in action for, right? And we can actually implement that faith through our finances as well. So, one thing that I have faith for in my own life is lifetime love, meeting my life partner. I haven't met that person yet, but I have faith for it. And so I follow the sinking funds method, where I have different goals that I'm saving for, different kind of accounts that I'm saving for, or things that I spend on regularly that I set aside money into my savings account each month. And even though I haven't met my person yet, I'm saving for my wedding. I have a sinking fund for my wedding, and I save a few dollars every paycheck for my wedding because I have faith that I'm going to meet my person. And and so I'm already saving for it. So that's one way that I personally, in my own life, am putting my faith in action for something that I've seen in a vision, for myself. And I'm like, you know what? I have faith for this, so I'm gonna set aside a little bit. So think about what some of those faith goals are for you. What are some of those things that you see yourself in your vision? Let's say that in your vision you are like a super successful podcaster, and you're just internationally known, and you do kind of different virtual conferences and things like that. So you could start saving for whatever that really some really fancy equipment that you might want, because you see yourself there in that vision, and you can start taking those steps even if it's just saving a few dollars every paycheck or every kind of payment that you get from clients. Set that aside. That's how you can put your faith in action, right? So think about what those big faith goals are for you, the really, really, really big ones. And how can you start preparing for them today and putting your faith in action through your finances? I also envision having a fund, like billions of dollars in a fund that invests in companies, particularly companies owned by women, and supports them, right? This huge multi-billion dollar fund that invests in them. Huge, huge vision, right? Huge dream. But I have faith for it. So I'm already making small investments into companies now. And that leads into the next point, that I want you to take on the mindset of an investor. We can all be investors, right? When we look at the news and we see these different statistics on how little investment capital is going into women and people of color, it can be really discouraging and it can be really frustrating, right? But if we're just waiting and relying on the systems to change, obviously we have to advocate and do the work to see that happen. But if we're just kind of waiting around for the systems to change and for something to be different, instead of empowering ourselves and saying, you know what, I can be an investor too. You are an investor in however you spend your money. Kind of think of yourself. So me, I am the Christine company. Whatever, insert whatever your name is. You are the Jessica company. You are the Candace company. You are the Kiana company, right? You are a company. And how do you want to manage the assets of your company? It's up to you. Let's feel empowered. Let's remember that we can be investors. And I want to take that a step further, because you actually can invest even as little as $100 in companies. There are platforms out there. I'll share a few in the description box here. But there are different platforms that you can use, and you can invest as little as $100 in very interesting and innovative companies, local companies. I've invested in a t-shirt design company in Indiana. I've invested in a sparkling water company. And you can invest, like I said, as little as $100. Sometimes it'll ask for $250. I've invested in a coffee company. I've invested also in a company that makes like satin lined hoodies. And you don't need a lot of money to invest in some of these companies that are doing amazing things. You can do it too. You can invest too. And I want all of us to take on this mindset of an investor in the way that we manage our finances. Think of all that we have, all that you own, no matter how little it may seem or it might be a lot or anywhere in between, right? You may not feel like you have much, but I want to encourage you that you can be an investor in the way that you manage your finances. Even by like, I love thinking of like when I go to a local coffee shop that I'm investing in my community. I think about the dollars that I put into going to my local coffee shop or then paying people, the employees of that company, that company is then reinvesting in the community, right? So even just in your day-to-day financial decisions, say, I'm investing in my community. I'm investing in my neighborhood. And you can go online and invest in companies locally and all around the world. So I want to tell you today that you are an investor. You yourself kind of empower yourself as a company and think about how you want to manage your assets as if you were a company that's profitable, a company that's having an impact, a company that is just helping people and helping the world and creating the impact on society that you are called to make, changing people's lives. That's what this is about. That's what I want to empower you and encourage you to know that you are able to do. So let's remember that we are investors. We are called to invest in ourselves, in our companies, um, and in our communities. So, in order to transform our finances and to truly build wealth that lasts, I just want to encourage you to take on this mindset and to remember that language matters. Think about what abundance means to you. Think about what those words are that bring to mind just abundance and spaciousness and more. And think about those areas where you may still be caught in a scarcity mindset and create that abundance through language, through how you approach your finances. I want you, when you sit down to look at your budget, when you sit down to plan out your finances for your business for the year ahead, I want you to come into that with ease, with abundance, with spaciousness, and with an attitude that there is more, not this attitude that there is not enough, that you're feeling crunched. I want you to approach your finances from a place of abundance and think about what those words are for you that evoke abundance. Let's also save for our faith goals, and let's remember that investors are not some high up people over here with a bunch of money. No, you and we are investors, and we can write checks as however much we have available to us to invest in companies, to invest in entrepreneurs that we believe in, and we can also invest in ourselves. Did you know that you can be your own angel investor? I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next video, but you are an investor and you are worth investing in. And I want you to take on the mindset of I am an investor. So don't let your money mindset block you from building wealth. You are the CEO not only of your business, but of your entire life. And I want you to take on that mindset of a CEO, of an investor, and just feel empowered. And share below what is one of those words for you that makes you feel empowered and that helps you walk into and approach your finances from a place of abundance. Share it below. These are just some of the ways that we can shift from emergency thinking, scarcity mindset into a mindset of abundance, of more than enough, of spaciousness and overflow. And that's what I want for me and you. So let's put these tips into practice. Let me know how this helps you with your foundation of how you're approaching your finances, and I'll see you in the next video.